Action. Yes. What am I making? We are, by popular demand, we are recreating the Ariel pink gown from the animated movie The Little Mermaid. It's a lot harder than you think to redesign an animated dress.
This is Ariel's gown in Disney's original Little Mermaid cartoon, and this is what we got in the 2023 live-action remake. They got rid of the dinner scene completely, which is fine. It kind of explains the no princess gown thing, but still, I wanted my magical princess dress. This is a Disney princess movie after all, right? So obviously, they're not gonna make me a dress. I'm gonna have to CGI the dress that I want into Ariel to get my princess movie moment. I'm going to attempt to redesign and adapt the 2D animated version to the live-action and replace the dress in the movie with my own, using the only tangible but not so practical skills that I've picked up as an adult, VFX. And to do that, I'm going to need to start by coming up with a design that works in the live action while staying somewhat faithful to the original. Here's our plan of attack. First, we need to start from a character model that fits the proportion of our actress, Halle Bailey. Pause. Going over the audio, I realized that it's Halle Bailey, and I've been saying Halle Bailey this whole time. Sorry about that. I guess we'll just count how many times I mispronounce it throughout this video. Okay, moving on. We're gonna have to use a generic one. Model our dress, give it some color, shade it properly. For some extra icing on the cake, here we'll find some footage from the movie, animate, simulate, and light our dress to match the footage, slap our work on top, and hopefully we'll have something that kind of works by the end. The cartoon dress is made to look simple.
Because when you think about it, don't want to put too many details in it because they have to draw it again over and over. So they're just like simple as it gets. Moving on.
I'm sure they did enough overtime as is. But for the dress to work in the real world, we're gonna have to think about that. So I think I'm gonna have to cheat a few details and add a bodice. I know now the correct term thanks to all of you in the comments. The original also has the little diamond patterns on the shoulder puffs, but we're gonna have to figure that one later. Okay, let's get into some 3D. Wow. Final model will be very different from this. I'm trying to give this whole thing a bit more detail, since it is very flat. My worry is that it'll just look like meh. I was struggling to get right shape here. It's kind of a curtain that goes from the front all the way to the back. I tried multiple ways to try and do that. I thought that just putting an elastic in the back would kind of pull the whole thing. Nope, figured I can just figure this out in Maya, maybe box modeling it. So there you have it. We have a base model here. This is not a final product. This is just the base. It's not finished. Take a breath. And then we'll just be traveling to Maya and making it better. Woo! Because the bodice is a harder shape with less obvious folds, I can just model that in Maya without having to simulate any folds, adding some trims and other details to give the dress a slightly more modern feel, and same thing for the sleeves, no need to simulate folds here either. I'm not totally happy with the way the gown looks, so I'll model a couple of minor adjustments while we're here too. With that out of the way, I'll add some sculpted details in the model in ZBrush to add some more subtle folds for a more believable look. To make the thing look less like a sculpture and more like fabric, I'll use Substance Painter to tile some fabric patterns across the dress. I also have no idea what to do about these diamond shapes on the shoulder. Like, nothing I tried was working. Modeling something in there kind of looks strange. I've seen some fan dresses that had all these insets, which are kind of cool, but also kind of look more jester-like than princess. So I've basically given up and I'll just add some more floral patterns to kind of suggest it. I'm sure some of you will come up and suggest some clever ideas that I wish I had thought of in the comments. 3D, let's go. Open project. Welcome to the most interesting part of this whole thing, tracking. I'll need to call upon my camera and body tracking skills yet again. To do that, I'll just track some points on the frame in 3D Equalizer to recreate the camera in my 3D scene, and track a few points on the character to follow Halle Bailey's subtle movement in the shot. We couldn't have a better shot for this. It's a full body shot here. Camera's not moving that much. Thank you, Disney. We'll simulate the dress and try to get like a nice movement in there. Background elements on the back wall, floor points. I created myself a proxy set, kind of like in the other video, where I jump back and forth between Maya and 3D Equalizer just to get the right scale. And then we get a match between CGI and reality. Done.
It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm not trying to get this into an actual movie, but I still got a few VFX industry buddies I'd like to impress. With the track done, I'll have to do some more technical, not so fun stuff to watch, like skin the dress on the character rig to get it to follow the movement of Ariel throughout the shot. So let's dive into the next piece of the puzzle, which is to make some magic in Houdini, as she slowly moves and have it collide against itself on the ground. That should really make a difference in bringing her to life. Except...
Hello. We've encountered some issues.
We've got a problem. I moved too quickly off the bat and forgot to check my frame rate. This is on par for me throughout my career. I tend to not double check my work enough, and I often end up in these situations that set me way back. We like to refer to those as little Melanie mistake. I tracked and did everything at 24 frames per second, but the footage I had was rolling at 30. So now we've got a bunch of stepping in my frames, and it becomes so obvious when I simulate and get a bunch of jittery stepping motion every frame. Great. Now I've got to go back to the start, retrack the camera at the correct frame rate, kick out the frames at the good frame rate, write out the animation at the right frame rate, and resimulate again at the right frame rate.
I had to go for a walk to calm down. I wish I could say that this doesn't happen too often, but it happens way too often.
Okay, most of the 3D stuff is done now, for reals. All I've got to do is to try to match the shot lighting. Time to render out the frames and start compositing everything together like my long lost teenage scrapbook. In Nuke, I'm just gonna bring in our footage, slap the dress render on top, recolor it to fit the footage just right, mask out the skin render and blend it into the actual skin. Paint out parts of the original dress that our dress doesn't cover, and overlay her long, beautiful hair back on top. And do us little tricks like wrapping the light around the dress, adding film grain and lens effects to muddy out the perfectly crisp CGI, and get it to feel more natural. We're done. And with that, Paolo, take it away.
Majesty, Paolo is exhausted because Majesty, only Paolo, can take this and give you
a princess.
We've somewhat successfully replaced the dress with the one that I wanted to see. It might not be for everyone, but that's alright. I'm just happy to see her in the pink dress that I was expecting to see. As always, thank you for watching. If you're interested in learning more about how I do this and maybe trying your hand at it, you can help support us by joining our Patreon, where we'll be uploading the models, some scene files, and eventually some more in-depth walkthrough of each step involved.
Thank you to all of our new Patreons for joining us this month.
Subscribe and hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss a thing. Bye-bye!